Hi, in this episode, we're going to talk about inodes. An inode is an information node, and what it is, it's associated with a file. A file will have a certain file name inside a certain path, but on the background behind that file name is, of course, the file content and the file metadata, and all of this information is stored in an inode. So an inode is, again, a label that includes all the metadata about a file. This includes the data block location, showing you where the actual data is on the hard drive, things such as creation, access, or modification times, the permission, and the ownership. The only thing that's not stored in the inode is the actual file name, as that is just a pointer towards the inode, and you can change it anywhere on the file system. However, the data inside that file, you will only have access to through the inode. So storage or data is actually layered inside Linux. At the very bottom is actually the bits, the zeros and ones, which are on the hard disk as data blocks. Pointing to that data block is the inode, and pointing to the inode, that top layer, is actually your file name. Linux associates inodes with files, and of course, this means that on any file system, there's only a number of inodes. Although the space is variable, this is not about the amount of space. This is about the amount of inodes available on that file system, really identifying how many files can exist as separate entities on that file system. So moving forward in the actual lab, we're going to show you how to identify an inode and how to work with inodes inside your Linux file system. Please stay tuned. Hi, in this episode, we're going to be talking about inodes. Inode can be really thought of as a label in front of a file. It is going to let you know, some important information about the file. This could be considered the file metadata. This includes the owner, the group owner, the size of the file, the formatting, the permissions for that file, and where in the hard drive can you actually locate that file. So your hard drive will have a certain number of inodes, and this is really the labels and therefore the number of files you can actually have, not comparing size, but actual number of files you can have. So again, inode is going to include all the information about a file except for the actual data in that file. It'll have a pointer to the data in that file by letting you know what is the block in the hard drive where that file's content is. And an inode is usually used by the file name to find the content of the file when you actually open a file. So think of it as a layer. You start with the file name, which is somewhere on the file system. When you peel back that layer, that's where you find the inode. This lets you know the metadata about the file and actually where to find that file data in the hard drive. Then when you peel back the layer for inode, then you can peel back to the actual data which is resting somewhere in the hard drive. So inode can be actually found using ls-i if you're actually looking for the inode number. And let's say this is just for my home directory. You can see the inode number for certain files listed here. If you want to see total number of inodes that actually exist, you can use df command with I as well. And this lets you know how many inodes are there, how many are used, and how many are free based on the file system and based on the directory where you're looking into. So again, inodes are usually reserved for background work. You don't actually change it too many times or mess around with it at all, because we on the upper end are actually only looking at the file name, but only when you peel back that layer from the file name, such as file A, is where you get the inode number. The inode number will give you the metadata, and also point you to the location where the file's data is in the hard drive. Again, you can think of it like a label in front of a file or a house number, in front of a house. That's how people can find your house, is using that inode number and finally knock on your door and come inside to access whatever's inside. So that is some of the commands you can use to work and figure out how many inodes you have. What are the inode numbers for your files and directories? I'll close my episode here, but I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.